When my heart remembered, the clock was nearing 9 in the evening, and the sky was raining as if trying to wash the city from its long sorrow. Leon sat in the cafe tilde copyright she used to visit every Thursday, at the same table that seemed to remember her touch, on the same chair that had become as familiar as her own shadow, and before her sat a half-filled cup of coffee. Just as always, everything was the same, yet that night something felt different, a quiet restlessness in her chest, a strange certainty that something was about to happen. The door of the cafe tilde copyright opened suddenly, and a young man entered with a kind of pain in his eyes she knew too well. For a moment, Leon felt her heart stop. Her breath caught between memory and reality. It was Omar, the man she had loved with every piece of her soul, the one who had disappeared 2 years ago after a terrible car accident. They had told her he survived but lost part of his memory. Since that day, she had never seen him again. She froze in her seat as she watched him walk toward a nearby table. His features were the same. His voice when he ordered his coffee carried the tone she could have recognized anywhere. Everything about him was exactly as she remembered. Except for his eyes. They were calm, distant, stripped of warmth or familiarity. He didn't recognize her, and there wasn't even a flicker of surprise on his face. It was as if he was seeing her for the first time in his life. The silence that passed between them was heavier than all the years of separation she had endured. The pain wasn't in the fact that he had forgotten her, but in how sincerely his face showed it, as if his memory had closed all its doors and left her standing outside. In the days that followed, his image wouldn't leave her mind. She began visiting the cafe tilde copyright every evening, just to see him from afar, always at the same corner, watching him quietly as he wrote in a small black notebook, the same way he used to write her love letters long ago. She watched him in silence, her heart whispering prayers that her face might somehow slip back into his memory, that the past might awaken again within him. As the days went by, Leon decided to approach him. One evening she sat at his table and spoke to him as a stranger. They talked about the rain, about the city, about books he loved, though he couldn't explain why. She listened with a heart torn between hope and pain. She only wished he would remember her even for a fleeting second, and during one small exchange, something in her words made him pause, eyes flickering with a brief, familiar confusion, as if a shadow of the past had crossed his mind then vanished again. That night, Leon went home carrying a fragile seed of hope. She opened a small wooden box filled with old photographs, her and Omar on the beach, at their graduation party, on their first trip outside the city. She stared at them for a long time before deciding to take them to him. The next day, she sat across from him at the cafe tilde copyright and placed the photos on the table in silence. Omar looked at them for a long moment, his eyes searching, uncertain. He asked who the people in the pictures were. With quiet pain, she told him they were the two of them before the accident, before memory disappeared and took love away with it. He tried to remember but couldn't. He only said he felt something strange, a sense that he had lived those moments once before. But it wasn't enough. He stood abruptly and left, leaving the photos behind as if they were too heavy for him to bear. That night, Leon cried as she had never cried before. She realized that memory cannot be forced, and that even the truest love cannot always conquer forgetting. Yet somewhere deep inside, she still believed that a part of him somewhere beyond reason still knew her. A month passed without seeing him. She tried to live, but everything in the city reminded her of him. Even the sound of the rain began to sound like his voice when he used to whisper her name. Then, On a cold morning, her phone rang with an unknown number. A soft, hesitant voice on the other end said her name the way only one person ever did. It was him, Omar. He said only that he wanted to see her at the place where everything had begun, the old harbor. Leon went there with trembling hands and a heart torn between fear and hope. He was standing by the sea, facing the horizon, wearing the same shirt she had always loved on him. When he turned toward her, there was something different in his eyes, a warmth she hadn't seen in years. He told her that after she left the cafe copyright that day, strange images began to come to him in dreams, her voice, her laughter, the places they had been together. He hadn't remembered everything, but he had remembered the feeling, the heartbeat, the truth that had once tied them together. He stepped closer, telling her he finally understood that memory might betray, but the heart never forgets who it has loved. She didn't need to hear more. Seeing him there, looking at her with that familiar softness, was enough. She sat beside him on the pier, watching the sunset that had once separated them now bringing them together again. The sea was calm, the waves whispering like an old storyteller repeating a tale it knew by heart. In that quiet moment, Leon understood that love does not need memory to exist, only a heart that still knows how to feel. And though Omar never remembered every detail, he remembered what mattered most, that he had loved her, and that she had always been his home, no matter how lost he'd been. They sat together until the last light disappeared beyond the horizon, the sea reflecting the image of a love that had finally defeated forgetting, for they both now knew memory may fade, but the heart never forgets.